Hi, this is Bob from Hobby Concepts, back with Volume 3 of our Beier Masterclass. Today we're going to go through downloading programs into the Sound Teacher and all the sounds that you can do, getting those sounds from the Sound Teacher onto your SFR, a couple different ways to do that, saving the sounds as a file on your computer, and uploading files from the SFR back to your computer or back to your Sound Teacher. So it's important stuff. This is the very basics of getting everything ready to go. By the time we're done with this, you'll feel comfortable with how to get programs onto your Sound Teacher. So let's get started. So here we go with Volume 3. And what we're going to do in Volume 3 is we're going to download a program into the Sound Teacher software, show you how to download it. We're going to show you the menus on the Sound Teacher program. We'll show you how to load the program from the Sound Teacher to an SFR both ways. One way by transferring to the SD card and one way by the data cable. And then we're going to show how to upload a program that's already on an SFR back into the Sound Teacher. So we'll do the same thing as the last video. We'll zoom in on the computer screen and we'll get started. So here's our Sound Teacher screen. We've just brought it up, and we're going to take a quick look at the menus here. So across the top we've got File, and that is where you would save your project or open a new project. SD card, data cable. You can adjust the transfer speed through the data cable if you're using it, and then do diagnosis of your SFR1 to the data cable. Language, we have English selected, and you can see these are in English. You can select other languages, or if you accidentally set it to something, you can set it back to English. And then Help, we have the manual and the forums to get support. Over here, the white box is Create a New Project. The next one over is Open a Project. The next one is Save a Project. The next one is Save a Project As, so if you have a new program, you can use that to start a new file. You can print out the function assignments of your project. And then we have SD card and data cable tabs. We have a sound simulation tab you can use to play sounds that are on here to see what they're going to sound like. And then right here you have the manual. Now I'm going to click that. And that brings up the complete manual, and you'll see that's version 1.4, so that's the newest version. And you can use this to flip through your complete manual. You can print it, or whatever. What I have found is that I download the manual on Adobe Acrobat to my tablet, and that way, let's see here, we'll go with the SFR1 manual, SFR1 manual, and that way I have the manual here separate from my laptop so I can see what the manual looks like. But it's nice to have a separate copy of the manual somewhere so you don't have to try and flip back and forth on your computer. Now, let's load our first program on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to File, and we're going to go Create a New Project. Okay, and that blanks out everything so that you're ready to go. We'll go File, Open Project. Now, up comes the Windows File Manager program so you can download your file. Now, if you remember, we created a folder under Desktop called Beier. So we'll open that. And there's the files that were in our folder, and there's one down here called SFR1 Sounds. So we're going to click on that, and boom, up comes a list of pre-done sounds for all kinds of different vehicles. And this is a pretty comprehensive list. I'm going to make this a little bigger here. So you can see that it starts out with automobiles, and they have, Ford F-350, Volkswagens, they have V8s, VW Bus, just all kinds of different vehicles for sounds. And now you have to get a little creative because these are in German, so they have some baggers here Well, Beggars are, let's see, dump trucks. Dump trucks? Yeah, bus. They have aircraft, Focke-Wulf FW-190, ME-109, some helicopters. As you can see, you can use this for a lot of things. Kiplaster, I think that is a rock truck. Locks, which are dump trucks. Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Panzers, I think we all know what Panzers are. Those are tank sounds. And you can see large selection of sounds for tanks. And then they have, oh my gosh, loaders. Ship is ship, so these are all ship sounds. I think they even have some submarine sounds. Let's see, police boat, Riva Aquamarine, Merc Cruiser. So if you're using this on your boat, you've got a lot of sounds available. Tractors, which are tractors. Then they have trucks, and this is where we're going to be looking. So trucks, and all kinds of truck sounds. Lots of truck sounds here. They have turbine, yeah, U-boat. So we're going to go with trucks for today. We're going to take a truck and we're going to load a program. And the best way to start with this is to just use one of their sample programs. So we're going to use this truck Detroit Diesel. We're going to click that and we're going to click open. And what that's going to do is, you can see it loaded those sounds into our sound teacher. Now we can just see what that sounds like. We have the engine cold start sound by clicking this green arrow. So you can test the sounds. That's the blinker sound. And any of these sounds can be changed. So you can just see what they sound like on the right here. Engine sound 2, additional sounds. Now these additional sounds are things like the horns. So you can, again, here's the Dixieland Dukes of Hazzard horn. So those are all preloaded, and you can easily delete them by clicking the X, or you can open a file here and put your own sound in. So generally what I'll wind up doing is deleting a bunch of these sounds and keeping the horns that I want, and then maybe adding additional sounds in those locations. We have random sounds. There's nothing in here, but this is where you might put like an air brake or something like that. Wave player, this is where you put music or conversation long sounds. And configuration is where we start to do the programming, and we're going to get into that later. So I'm going to go back here to the beginning. So this video is concentrating on how to get programs into here, how to get them into the SFR1, and how to get them back. So we're not going to go through all the different tabs on here. I just wanted to hit the highlights. So now we've got our sound in here, and we want to get it loaded into our sound teacher. And as I mentioned in the first couple of videos, there is a data cable here that plugs into the computer and plugs into the SFR1, or you can take the SFR1 and remove the SD card. So we're going to do that first. So I remove the SD card, and now I'm going to put it in the SD card holder, okay, and plug it into my computer. Boom. And it's on D. So I'm going to go transfer project data, and transfer project data is for the cable. We're going to save the data onto the SD card. And please insert the SD card and select the correct drive letter. Okay, so the SD card's on D, so we're going to go up here to SD card. We're going to click D, and then we're going to save the project data. Now it's going to go through here and it's going to save everything on the SD card. All project data saved on the SD card and can be removed. Okay, so now we just take this back out, plug it into our SFR1, and boom, we're ready to go. Now, the nice thing about doing it that way is it's super fast. If you fill up the wave player with like 5 sounds and several conversations of CB talk or whatever, it can take an hour to transfer it through a data cable, but it transfers instantly when you plug in the SD card. So that's a nice way to do it for the initial upload, or if you have a lot of sounds that you've changed. So that's the advantage of it. The disadvantage is if you make one little change, oh my gosh, let's see, later on you want to make a change in your lighting. Make one little tiny change, you have to unplug the card, plug it in, do all that work. So that's where the data cable comes in. Now I'm gonna zoom this back out, and so you have a better view of how things work, and we're going to plug in the data cable. So we're zoomed out, and I've got my data cable here, so I'm going to plug it into my laptop, and it plugs into the SFR1 right here, and it's even color coded, orange, red, brown. So we'll plug that in like that. That data cable's plugged in, and now we're ready to download with the data cable. We do need to apply power to the SFR1, so I have got a 2-cell LiPo here that will power up the SFR1. You can see a light flashing, and now I'll just make a little quickie change here. Additional sound, we're just going to delete this one, the last one, number 16. Okay, now we're ready to go, and I can go over here and click Transfer Project Data. It will search for the port, it'll find it, it'll go checking sound saved, uploading, you can see the lights flashing here, and boom, everything is transferred and it's all saved. So that's the second way to save sounds on the SFR1, or save programs. That is my preferred method myself, and as I have mentioned earlier in one of the videos, the tail here that plugs into the computer, on all my new builds, what I do is put a servo extension here and just leave it hanging out somewhere in the bottom of the truck. So even when the truck is completely built and the body's on it and everything, I can just plug in the computer and make changes in a completely finished truck. So if I want to change, say, the flash rate of a flashing LED, I can just plug it in, make a change. If I come in with a new sound, I can plug it in, make a quick change. Super easy, and really a neat way to go. So that's how you download a program. That's how you load a program into the Sound Teacher, and 2 ways to download it, either by plugging in the SD card or using the data cable. Now, as I mentioned, the other thing that I wanted to discuss was how to upload a program onto the computer. Normally what you will do is, when you have a program and you're working on it, you will click File, and you will click Save Project As, and then you will go to your, in this case I have a folder called Bob's Trucks, and I will make another folder there for this particular truck, red King Hauler or whatever, and then I'll save it there. But if you accidentally erase this, and it's hard to do because they're going to say, hey, saving changes, do you want to save changes? No. Okay, now I accidentally erased my program, and let's say you've been working on the thing for a month and you've got it just the way you want it, and you erased it and you go, oh no, I forgot to save it. Well, it's still on the SD card here. What we want to do now is get it off of there back onto here, so we have it, so we can save it, make changes, whatever. If you buy a truck from somebody, it's got one of these in it, you might want to load up the program. So let's investigate how to do that. Okay, I have my camera kind of semi-zoomed in here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So, I have this, it's blank. I want to import my saved program from the SFR. So what I do is I unplug the card, plug it in the adapter, plug it in my laptop. Now, and it'll show it's on D. Okay, so up here in File, first thing you do is SD card, you select D. If it's not already selected, it usually does. And then up here in File, you click File, and they have one called Import Project from SD card. So I do that, Import Project from SD card. Up will come my manager, my file manager, and that's the program that's on the card. So I want to save it to, I go to Desktop, to Beier, to Bob's Trucks, and then I'm going to call it, Red Hauler, or whatever you want to call it, and then you click Save. Okay, and boom, it'll save it. And now it also loaded it back up into here. And you can see that it's missing sound 16 because we deleted that, so we know we got the file. And it's also saved in our file manager. So if I click the file manager, and I click Desktop, Beier, Bob's Trucks, and there it is. There's the whole file. Now, generally, you'll want to put subfolders for each particular truck because it saves every file that's on the card. So, yeah, and there's the Red Hauler SFR. That's the kind of the main file. So, normally I would have Bob Trucks, and then I would have like Red King Hauler, Blue Globeline, or whatever underneath there. So I would do subfolders. But that's all there is to uploading it from an existing SFR. So in this episode we have gotten a file on here. We know how to do that. We know what these little menus across the top do. We looked at how to see the manual. We loaded a file into this program. We loaded it onto the SFR SD card directly. We loaded it with a patch cable. We uploaded it from an SFR. So that is all the file transfer data that you'll probably ever need to use. Now, if you're using a USM or a SFR1 dual, they operate exactly the same way. They're a different program, but they look the same, they operate the same. You can download and upload files the same, and the system, once you get to use it, every piece kind of works the same way, so it makes it very easy. So there you go for Volume 3, how to upload and download files. And in Volume 4, what we're going to do is actually show how to hook up radios to the SFR so you can make it work. So far, I think you'll agree this is pretty simple. It's pretty simple stuff. And that's why I want to go through it one step at a time so you feel real comfortable with how it works. And you go, yeah, I can do that. I mean, if you can work a computer, you can do this. It's pretty easy. And boy, once you get the system working, it really works good. So, as always, I'm going to ask you to give me a thumbs up and like the video. And if you've got things that you'd like me to cover in future episodes, put them in the comments. If you want to know how to do this or that, I will do a special video on it, especially if I get several requests. Now, we have a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to start out with how to hook up the radio, and then we're going to go through sounds, and then we'll go through lights, and then we'll go through special sounds, and then special lights. We're going to how to rip sounds off of YouTube, how to get them off your phone, just every little topic I can think of, but I can't think of them all. So if you've got one you want to do, put a little note in the description, and we'll go to work on that. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again in Volume 4, which will be how to hook up radios.